An Anthropic engineer who works on Claude Code just dropped a thread on how Anthropic uses Claude skills and the mistakes that he systematically sees Claude coders making when making their own skills. In this video, I'm going to walk through what each of these mistakes is and how you practically can avoid them. Tariq starts the article with a cataloging of all the skills that Anthropic uses. They all fit into one of these 9 categories. Now, this is interesting, but the biggest value from this article is on the mistakes people make when making their own skills. The first common mistake is to state the obvious. And so what you should do is not state the obvious. Claude Code, as Tariq points out, already knows about your code base and already knows about coding. So, for example, in this skill that I made, Python Learning Coach, which is a Python tutor with memory that improves over time, I don't actually include anything about Python in the skill because I know that Claude Code or Codex already know tons about Python, and I don't need to include that information in order for the tools to effectively be able to use the skills. And there's actually a more general point here, which in this great article, Nicholas Bustamante points out that LLMs eat scaffolding for breakfast, that every single time a new LLM model comes out, you end up deleting thousands of lines of code again. Why is that? Because each iteration of these models gets more powerful, smarter, and you need to tell it a lot less. So the skills that you may have made when the skill standard just came out with older models may be over-engineered now because you don't need to give as exhaustive of instructions to Claude Code in the skill in order for it to work effectively. A second suggestion Tariq makes is to build a gotcha section. So as you're working on skills, you'll notice ways in which the skill ends up deviating or having little mistakes systematically over time. And a mistake that many beginners make is they don't think of skills as things that they need to keep refining over time. Having a gotcha section, just like Tariq is pointed out here, where you, as you notice the problems that are being introduced, add to your skills those mistakes, will help Claude Code become smarter in its skills over time. A third big mistake that beginners make is to think of a skill as a markdown file rather than a folder. What does that mean? If we look in at this skill for queue debugging, you see that the main skill, queue debugging, is sort of a hub. And then the spokes here are 4 different workflows that might occur. So we have stuck jobs, dead letters, retry storms, and consumer lag. It probably doesn't make sense for each of these to be individual skills because you may often want to work on more than one of these at a time. But by organizing them into separate files, what you're allowing Claude Code to do is to just pick the ones that are relevant at a particular point in time. And that makes its use of the context window more efficient, which now is 1 million tokens, so maybe you don't have to care as much about it as you did in the past, but still pretty important. So this idea in general is called progressive disclosure, where you only show Claude Code what it needs at a particular time. And that progressive disclosure can also include references, scripts, examples that Claude Code can look at as needed. A third mistake is to avoid railroading Claude, and this goes back actually to the first mistake, which is to state the obvious. Since Claude tries to stick to your instructions, and because skills are very reusable, if you're too specific in your instructions, Claude Code may stick to those instructions very tightly, and if you've given wrong instructions, it may not perform in the way that you're hoping it does. And so increasingly, you can sort of expect these tools like Claude Code and Codex to fill in the blanks. And so that lets you give often looser instructions than you needed to in the past if you're used to working with GPT-4 or Claude 3.5, for example, where you really need to spell out every single thing. And so you can see here that the entire suggested skill or this particular bit is just cherry pick the commit onto a clean branch, resolve conflicts. If you can't land cleanly, explain why. It's not going step 1, step 2, step 3. Leave that to Claude. A fourth key that Tariq mentions is to think through the setup. So what does that mean? So some skills may need to be set up with context from the user. For example, if you are making a skill that posts your stand-up to Slack, you may want Claude to ask which Slack channel to post it in. So I see this one as being sort of related to the gotchas one, but some errors that you are seeing in your skill may not be a gotcha, but rather some context about the skill that you ought to have given that you didn't give. So in some sense, this can seem in contradiction to avoid railroading Claude, but that's a little bit different because the avoid railroading Claude suggestion is when you have some particular thing that you want it to do, if you're over specifying all the individual steps that go in that you need to give it, then Claude may end up not doing an optimal thing because the instructions you gave were too specific. Here, it's a little bit different. It's that it's not going to know anything about your Slack setup. Like, Claude Code is really smart. It's obviously trained on tons of scripts and Stack Overflow and Reddit posts, so it knows all about Python. So you don't need to tell it all the details about how Python works, but it doesn't know anything about your Slack channel. And so what he suggests is to have setup information like which Slack channel to post a message in a config.json file in the skill directory. And if the config is not set up, then the agent can then ask the user for information. So here you can see that he sets up or sets as a default a location where this config should be. If it's not configured, then ask the user which Slack channel. And so if you see Claude Code deviating in this way for some of your skills, maybe think, is there a way that I can add a configuration file or some kind of context or setup to prevent this kind of mistake occurring in the future? A next key that Tariq points out is that the description field is for the model. So when Claude Code starts a session, it builds a listing of every available skill with its description. So what is that? In a skill, there is this front matter that always exists. It has to have a name and a description. If you don't have that, Claude Code is not going to find your skill. It also needs to be located either in a particular location on your computer in the .claude/skills directory, or in a particular location in your repo in the .claude/skills directory in a repo if you want your skill that you're making to be particular to the repo. But something else going on here is that what Claude will do when it starts up is it's going to load into its memory the master prompt that Claude Code always has, or rather the system prompt, but it's also going to load into its memory every single skill that you have. But it doesn't load up the entire skill, it just loads up the front matter of the skill, the name field and the description field. And so this description field shouldn't be a summary of what it does. It should be a description that helps Claude understand when to actually read the rest of the skill. And so you see here that babysit PR, for example, previously just said a comprehensive tool for monitoring pull request status across a development lifecycle. But practically, what you want Claude Code to do is when you say babysit or watch continuous integration or make sure this lands, which is the type of human thing you would say in order to get that skill to trigger, you want it on those points in time to actually invoke the skill. So you help that along by having well-formed descriptions. A next point that Tariq makes, which beginners don't do, is that they don't add memory or data to their skills. So a lot of skills can be added along by adding some concept of memory. So here, for example, in my Python Learnings Coach skill, I add a memory file which keeps daily interaction logs as markdown files and also has a general profile, which is updated on every interaction, which has the current status of a user's current Python level and level of understanding overall. So when this skill is invoked again, the memory gets loaded into context using this memory Python script. And then that helps Claude Code teach Python at the learner's current level. And then once a sort of question and answer session using this Python Learning Coach ends, we update the memory. And so by doing so, this skill becomes more powerful and more useful over time. And so similarly, maybe you would want to have a stand-up post skill, which helps you say in your daily stand-up what was done that day. But what was done the previous day may be important for describing what's being done today. And so if you just store them as an append-only text log file or JSON files or have a SQL database, that's going to make your skill a lot more powerful. And if you want to do this, all you have to do is invoke the skill creator skill and simply ask it, hey, I have some skill here where I think memory could be useful, like a text file or a SQLite file. What do you recommend? That's it. It's really as easy as that, and you're going to get much more powerful skills. Another suggestion Tariq makes is to store scripts and generate code as part of your skills. And so this goes back to the previous suggestion about not thinking about skills as just a markdown file, but instead a hub which branches out to lots of other individual workflows. And so part of that workflow could just be defined in a markdown file, but part of it can also be scripts. So as an example, Tariq says, in your data science skill, you might have a library of functions to fetch data from your event source. In order for Claude to do complex analysis, you could give it a set of helper functions like so. So you have a signups.py file, and you allow Claude to know by default, just by invoking the skill, how to do certain kinds of lookups right here. Then when it has these functions, it's able to generate scripts on the fly using the functions to compose the functionality to do more advanced analysis. And so what the skill would actually do is compose a new script, but you're just giving it the building blocks, the functions to be able to do so. And so this is sort of tying into a lot of the different suggestions, such as not over specifying things. Like you don't have to have the very detailed, specific investigation specified in your skill step by step, but you produce some building blocks to give Claude Code the context, since it may not know about these external systems and how to hit them. It knows a lot about Python, though, so once it has a sufficient information about these external systems, it can build a Python script all by itself. One super important suggestion Tariq makes is to use on-demand hooks in your skills. So if you don't know what hooks are, I recommend this documentation, which I'll link, which are basically actions which occur automatically at certain points in time in Claude Code's lifecycle. So for example, anytime a Python file is edited, you could have a Python style hook, which triggers a sort of linting script to lint the Python file and make sure it's all correctly formatted. So Tariq recommends 3 particular hooks. So one is /careful, which blocks removing directories, dropping tables, forcing push, or deleting other types of infrastructure using the pre-tool use hook. A second one is a freeze hook to block any edit or write that's not in a specific directory. So going back to the stand-up skill, for example, you may not want it to write out the stand-up log anywhere outside a specific directory. And in order to prevent it from ever doing so, you could add this hook if you saw that behavior occurring. Those are the main things that describe how you should make your skills. But now Tariq also goes into a set of ideas on how to distribute your skills. So at a basic level, there's 2 options. You can check your skills into your repo under .claude/skills, and that's really what I recommend to most people. So if you're working on a small team, so at Payslice, where I'm the director of AI and ML, we have a mono repo, meaning a single repo that has all of our work, and we just put our common skills right there in .claude/skills. Initially, what I had done is I created a Claude Code plugin for our team. But what I realized is it's just overkill. We can just have one repo for all parts of our application, and we just put the skills in there. It's a lot easier to use. So for most of you who are just working on small teams with like a couple people, just checking your skills into repo is probably the best suggestion I'd have. But if you're working on bigger projects that span multiple repos, or you're trying to set something up for distribution, then what you want to do is to have a plugin, such as this one, the Compound Engineering plugin, which I really like. And in order to distribute the plugin, you have to have this concept of a marketplace. And so he links here to documentation on sort of what the requirements are in order to have a plugin in a marketplace. It's not that complicated. You just have to do a few configuration steps and have your repository usually on GitHub. But there is still a choice you have to make about which sort of skills should go in the marketplace. And so what Tariq says is that at Anthropic, they don't have a centralized team that decides. Instead, we try and find the most useful skills organically. And so a common question I get is, where do I go to find all the skills? And there are some web pages where people are sort of aggregating all skills that they ever found, and I don't find them that useful. Skills are pretty easy to make yourself. I have a few videos on how to make skills if you're interested in this, but really it's as simple as just going /skill creator, invoking Anthropic's skill creator skill, and then saying what it is that you want made. And then over time, going through editing, refining your skill based on the types of errors that you see. And so that's how it works for yourself. But then if you want to distribute it, this marketplace or plugin concept, if you're in the Claude Code universe, is the best way to do it. Codex doesn't have a concept of plugins or marketplaces, so if you find them in some Git repo, you just have to install them manually using the skill installer skill. Finally, there's one more idea in the article, which is important to mention, which is that skills can be composed. And so it doesn't have to be that you pack everything into a skill. One way in which you can sort of have this progressive disclosure concept is to have a skill which has certain kinds of logic, which is invoked only when relevant, but also skills sort of do things, and you don't necessarily need a single skill to do everything. And so what may make sense is to have a file upload skill, for example, that uploads a file, and a CSV generation skill that makes a CSV and uploads it. The most appropriate thing to do may just be to reference the file upload skill in the CSV generation skill. And the reason you'd want that is that you may want to upload other files besides CSVs. But the reason you want to put the file upload skill in the CSV generation skill is that because then any time that anybody wanted to upload any file, they would have to read a lot of stuff about CSV generation, which is totally irrelevant. Hope you guys found that breakdown useful. If you want to join a big community of people who are trying to get to the cutting edge of AI, then I run a school server called the AI MBA, which has hundreds of agentic developers, business owners, academics, all pushing to try to learn everything they can about Claude Code and Codex. I'm also going to link this article down in the description below. You should definitely read it. And until next time, see you guys later.